My brother, my sister, there are stretches in this life when the waiting feels unbearable, when the silence of heaven grows heavy and every door you've pressed against for years refuses to give way. You've bowed your head, you've denied yourself, you've wept behind closed walls where no eye could witness your ache, and perhaps tonight it feels as though the Almighty has simply passed you by. But I want to remind you of something sacred. The Lord's schedule is not just drawing near, it is about to overwhelm you with holy tears. Not tears born of grief, but tears born of wonder as you finally grasp what was true all along. He never abandoned you, not for a single breath. The very wound that once carved through your chest will soon be the doorway to a joy that spills over, because when the Almighty acts, He does nothing by halves. He moves in ways that bring you low before Him and compel you to whisper, "Only the Lord could have orchestrated this." There is a holy mystery stitched into the Lord's timing. You see, He is not bound by the clocks of men or the calendars of earth. We count by ticking seconds and fleeting hours, but the Lord moves by purpose. We sketch plans across months and years, but the Lord writes across eternity. He perceives when you are ready, even when you are convinced you already are. He discerns when the road is safe, even when you insist on walking it immediately. Sometimes He restrains you not as discipline, but as a shield. That season you have resented may have been the very wall keeping you from ruin. That petition left hanging in the air may have been His gentle hand guarding the shape of your future. You imagine you are waiting on God, but often God is waiting on you, waiting for you to mature, to release what you have been clutching, and to rest in what you cannot yet perceive. Every tear you have shed, every blow you have absorbed, every door that has shut in your face, none of it has been squandered. The Lord has been tempering your character, reinforcing your conviction, and crafting something that far exceeds anything you dared to envision. Some blessings descend swiftly, others demand seasons, because some are too weighty to be released out of order. When the Lord declares the moment, nothing, no person, no failure, no stretch of time can obstruct what He has ordained. You may believe you squandered your chance, but the Lord is unconstrained by missed openings. He can resurrect what appeared lifeless and breathe vitality into what others pronounced finished. There is purpose behind your hiddenness. There is meaning behind the quiet. The Lord conceals before He reveals. He stills the clamor so that your spirit can recapture the cadence of His voice. Many of you are living inside that concealed season now, feeling invisible and dismissed. But hear me, the Lord does His deepest craftsmanship in obscurity. A seed must be lowered into the earth before it can sprout. It must be blanketed before it pierces the surface. You may feel interred, but in truth, you are being sown. And when the destined hour arrives, you will not merely grow, you will blossom. And when you blossom, it will not be modest. It will be something so radiant it renders bystanders speechless. Something that draws tears of gratitude because you will recognize that every breath of waiting carried meaning. The Lord's timing is immaculate. When the sun traces its arc and sets in precision, when the heavens wheel in flawless harmony, when the tides obey their boundaries, all of creation follows His sovereign order. Yet still we wrestle to release ours into His hands. We cry out, "Lord, why does this stretch so long?" But if we could glimpse the full canvas, we would perceive the Lord threading every strand, aligning every connection, and arranging every event to complete what He swore. The things you have pleaded for are not refused, they are being refined. And when they finally arrive, they will not be tardy. They will surface precisely on schedule. The Lord never rushes, yet He is never behind. Some of you have been planted in conviction for years, holding firm when everyone around you begged you to release your grip. You have endured solitude, treachery, and a weariness that no one else could decipher. But what you have not grasped is that your steadfastness has reached heaven itself. The Lord has registered your constancy. He has witnessed those nights when you remained loyal even when walking away would have been simpler. And when He acts on your behalf, it will unfold suddenly and magnificently. You will be swept under a holy hush. That is why I declare to you, the Lord's schedule will move you to tears, because you will see that the waiting was never a sentence. It was preparation for something only the Lord could fashion. Don't permit the silence to rattle your belief. Don't permit the pause to make you settle. You may be tempted to seize the reins and force the outcome, but anything erected on haste will collapse. Allow the Lord to construct what belongs to you. Let Him establish it. His blueprints are steady. His blueprints are tranquil. When the Lord unlocks the door, no one can barricade it. And when He pronounces, "Now," everything pivots. People who once dismissed you will begin to take notice. Openings that once rebuffed you will begin to pursue you. Blessings you assumed were forfeited forever will return multiplied, because the Lord's yes cannot be outrun. It reshapes everything. Perhaps right now your thought is, I have squandered too many years, I have forfeited too much time. No, you have not. The Lord can reclaim time. What demands a decade for others, He can deliver to you in a single breath. What has been fractured for generations, He can mend in an instant. You serve a God who excels at supernatural acceleration. He does not simply repair, He multiplies. That is the might of His timing. It doesn't only return what you lost, it grants you beyond what you ever imagined. But He releases it when your spirit has expanded enough to steward it. You see, the Lord has no interest in handing you gifts that will shatter you. He longs to bless you with things that will hold you, so if He is still shaping you, give thanks. It means He is crafting you for something breathtaking. Every pause carries sacred intention. Some pauses shield you from premature exposure, others forge steel into your character. Some humble you before elevation, and others exist simply, so the Lord can reveal Himself in a manner that leaves no space for human reasoning. There are blessings so celestial that the Lord will never permit them to travel through mortal hands. They must descend straight from Him so that when they arrive, you will know without a flicker of doubt that it was the hand of the Lord alone. And when that hour breaks, tears will course down your face. Your knees will meet the floor and your heart will murmur, Lord, you did this. Many surrender just before the Lord's timing begins to unfurl. They permit discouragement to take the throne. They permit impatience to filch their miracle. But I am telling you, do not halt now. Do not turn aside when you are this near. You may perceive no movement above ground. But beneath the soil, roots are lengthening, foundations are firming, and the Lord is calibrating every single step. The heavier the weight, the louder the testimony. When the Lord finally unveils what He has been fashioning, you will understand why He took His time. Glance backward across your pilgrimage. Those chapters you branded as delays were actually celestial detours, designed to preserve you. The disappointments that nearly broke you were recalibrations, engineered to protect the shape of your calling. You could not perceive it then, but His hand was steering every fragment. And now, as the Lord begins to unfurl what He has been crafting, you will realize why certain souls could not remain, why some blueprints crumbled, and why particular seasons had to close. It was not rejection, it was redirection toward something loftier. You believed you were losing, but you were being positioned for a blessing matched to your calling, not to your comfort. When the Lord's appointed season arrives, it often arrives cloaked in the ordinary. It does not always arrive with spectacle or thunder. Sometimes it is a quiet summons, a sudden opening, or a peace that refuses to be shaken rising inside your spirit, whispering, this is the hour, and in that breath everything tilts. The waiting dissolves, the fragments snap into place, and your soul perceives the hand of the Lord has moved. That is when the tears fall, not tears born of anguish, but tears born of recognition. When your heart encounters divine fulfillment, you will no longer weep because of the wrestle. You will weep because of the radiance of what the Lord has wrought. You may not perceive it yet, but the same Lord who permitted your anguish is the one who will transmute it into purpose. Nothing in your journey has been discarded. Every scar, every loss, every disappointment will become irrefutable evidence of how thoroughly the Lord redeems. You will glance back and declare, had that not unfolded, I would not stand where I stand. You will behold how He transformed what was meant to dismantle you into the very instrument that elevated you. That is the potency of His timing. It turns your ache into courage, your patience into marvel, your tears into testimony. So hold fast, do not disdain the process. The very thing you have been pleading for may already be in motion. The Lord may be aligning the right souls, shifting the right currents, and arranging the precise instant. You cannot perceive it, but heaven is bustling with activity, and when it finally descends, it will be so swift, so breathtaking, that you will be left undone. You will perceive that while you were doubting, the Lord was designing. While you were waiting, He was working. While you were weeping, He was fashioning something far beyond anything you ever imagined. And when all of it unfolds, your soul will brim with such profound gratitude that language will fail. Only tears will speak. There is a moment drawing near when you will finally grasp why the Lord made you tarry. It will not merely make sense, it will draw you into worship. You will perceive that every closed door bore purpose. Every pause bore sacred design, and every tear was preparing your soul for inexpressible joy. That is why you must never measure your hour against anyone else's. What the Lord is carving into your life is one of a kind. Others may receive their blessings ahead of you, but yours is being hand-fashioned by the Lord Himself. When it arrives, it will fit seamlessly. You will not have to chase it. You will not have to wrestle for it. You will simply walk into it, and it will feel as though it had been waiting for you all along. Some of you require this word tonight. Stop assuming you have been abandoned. You have not been overlooked. You have been set apart. The Lord's pause is not His refusal. He is still inscribing your story. And when the next chapter unfolds, it will be so breathtaking that the sting of the previous ones will dissolve into meaning. You will see how the waiting fortified your resolve, how the silence deepened your conviction, and how the solitude purified your heart. When the promise arrives, pride will hold no residence. Instead, you will be humbled, knowing that apart from the Lord, none of it could have ever come to pass. So if you find yourself in the middle of the unknown, whispering, "When, Lord, how much longer?" carry this with you: timing is everything. The Lord's design is never hurried, never delayed. It is always flawless. The moment He speaks now, everything will align. Every unanswered plea, every restless night, every concealed tear will suddenly come into focus. You will weep not from pain but from awe, because you will finally perceive how faithful He has been from the very start. Remain steadfast, remain expectant. Keep your heart unblemished and your spirit yielded. Do not let bitterness obstruct your blessing. Do not let haste push you into compromise. The Lord's vow still stands. And when it manifests, it will surpass every expectation, greater, deeper, richer than anything you have ever petitioned for. You may have believed you were overlooked, but all this while, the Lord has been observing, orchestrating, and preparing the flawless moment to bless you beyond measure. And when that moment arrives, your tears will speak louder than any syllable, declaring that the Lord's timing truly renders all things beautiful. There arrives a chapter in every believer's pilgrimage when conviction must persist beyond emotion. You may not feel mighty, you may not witness results. You may not hear answers, but faith was never constructed on visibility. It was designed for silence. It was fashioned for the in-between chapters. When nothing coheres and every fiber of your being wants to release its grip, that is where the true contest unfolds. Not in the turbulence, but in the quiet confidence that whispers, "Lord, I still believe you know precisely what you are doing." That variety of faith touches heaven. That variety of faith relocates mountains, because when you refuse to let time erode your trust, you align yourself with the cadence of the Lord's will. And once you are aligned with His will, His timing begins to unfurl with irresistible force. There are seasons when the Lord strips things away, not to dismantle you, but to reassemble you with celestial precision. He removes distractions so you can distinguish His voice once more. He grants emptiness so your spirit can hunger for Him more deeply. He closes doors not to confine you, but to redirect you towards something consecrated. Sometimes the greatest blessing is the door that never swung open. One day you will grasp that had the Lord said yes when you were pleading, you would have been bound to something far too small for your destiny. But because He said no, He safeguarded your horizon. That is why you must never equate delay with rejection. The Lord's silence is frequently the sound of celestial construction. Behind the stillness, heaven is composing a masterpiece on your behalf. You may not perceive it, but the Lord's timing often works through supernatural reversals. He can tilt conditions in ways that baffle the natural mind. The one who was dismissed becomes the one who is selected. The circumstance that once looked impossible suddenly lines in your favor. Years of drought are succeeded by such abundance that it renders you speechless. And when it arrives, you will weep not from frailty but from revelation, because you will finally perceive that every loss carried meaning. The tears you shed in solitude will become the account of triumph you proclaim openly. You will stand in the very spot where you once broke down and whisper, "Lord, you knew exactly what you were doing." The Lord's timing does not merely bless you, it unveils His nature. It reveals that He is never haphazard, never careless, never uncertain. He is intentional, He is precise. Every second of your existence has been scripted by His hand. You are not strolling by fortune, you are walking by celestial design. That is why you must never measure your path against someone else's. What the Lord is unfolding in your life is uniquely tailored for you. You are not tardy, you are perfectly placed for the Lord's next movement. Stop comparing your opening chapter to someone else's 10th chapter. Their account is theirs, yours is being authored by the same writer who never errs. Some of you are planted in a waiting season that feels infinite. The promise appears distant and the pressure feels crushing, but waiting is not lost motion, it is sacred time. It is where your roots plunge deep, it is where your endurance is forged. If you accelerate the process, you will forfeit the strength born of preparation. The Lord does not only long to hand you the blessing, He longs to ensure the blessing does not dismantle you. He is not just preparing your future, He is preparing you to bear it. You may believe you are standing still, but the Lord is refining you in unseen ways. And one day, when the appointed hour arrives, He will release everything you petitioned for, and you will finally understand why He took His time. When the breakthrough descends, it will carry the weight of every prayer you whispered. It will hold the fragrance of every tear you shed. It will be drenched in endurance and grace. And it will be something you could never have assembled on your own. You will recognize it was the Lord because the blessing will bring serenity, not strain, fulfillment, not bewilderment. When the Lord does it, you will not have to force or manipulate anything. The door will swing open effortlessly, and what is meant for you will endure because it was established by celestial authority. That is the splendor of the Lord's timing. It accomplishes what human effort never could. You see, timing is the dialect of trust. When you trust the Lord's timing, you are declaring, I believe you perceive more than I do. That measure of surrender invites divine intervention because the Lord does not move in pride. He moves through trust. Trust declares, even if it demands longer than I imagined, I still believe you are working. Trust declares, even if others seem to surge ahead of me, I will remain where you planted me until you say move. And when you cling to that variety of unwavering conviction, the Lord begins moving mountains on your behalf. He begins to shift what once appeared immovable, aligning souls, doors, and openings flawlessly in your favor. Some of the greatest blessings in your life are waiting on one thing, celestial timing. You may feel you are ready, but the Lord perceives what still must mature. He perceives what still must heal. He perceives what still must be released. So He waits not to discipline you, but because He loves you too deeply to deliver something before you are prepared to bear it. You would not place a sharpened blade in the hands of a child. You would wait until they have learned discernment. In the same way, the Lord waits until your character can sustain your calling, and when that season arrives, the release will be unmistakable. There is a sacred calm that descends before divine manifestation, the stillness before the outpouring of blessing. When life feels quiet and motionless, do not misinterpret that silence for absence. That is when heaven draws closest. The Lord often labors in stillness because silence sharpens your spiritual hearing. When you cannot trace His hand, you learn to trust His heart. And when you trust Him, you position yourself for marvels that defy explanation. The Lord does not require noise to move. He does not require recognition, validation, or applause. He works in the unseen, and when He finally unveils what He has been building, it will speak louder than any word. Some blessings demand endurance because they carry eternal weight. Instant blessings fade, but those shaped through waiting endure. You may not perceive it yet, but the Lord is composing a testimony that will outlast your ache. You will stand before others in their own struggle and say, I have stood where you stand. I know the throb of waiting, and I know the splendor of seeing the Lord come through. That is the variety of wisdom only time can cultivate. That is why you must never disdain the waiting. It is the training ground for divine strength. Many cry out for the Lord's promises but resist His process. They crave the triumph without the refinement, but the process is where the glory is shaped. You cannot accelerate purification. You cannot evade surrender. You cannot shortcut trust. The fires you face are not designed to erase you. They are refining you. They are burning away dread, pride, and doubt so that when the appointed hour arrives, you can carry the blessing with humility and grace. The Lord's delays are not engineered to shatter your spirit. They are engineered to shatter your dependence on everything but Him. When you arrive at the place where you can declare, even if nothing shifts, I will still trust the Lord, that is when everything begins to pivot. Every time you believed yourself forgotten, heaven was observing. Every time you longed to surrender, the Lord was whispering, hold on. I am not finished yet. Every silent season carries divine intent. Some blessings arrive after years of being misread. Others arrive after stretches of complete isolation. And when they finally surface, they carry the unmistakable fragrance of divine validation. The same souls who once doubted you will have no option but to acknowledge it was the Lord's hand upon your life. That is what renders his timing so formidable. It silences every voice that ever rose against you. Don't resist the waiting, embrace it. Don't curse the delay, learn from it. The very thing you perceive as a setback may be the very instrument the Lord is wielding to unshackle you. When you surrender your timeline, you make room for his peace to enter. And when you walk in that peace, you give the Lord permission to move without resistance. You need not know how it will unfold. You only need to believe that it will, because the Lord's word never fails. His promises never expire. If he declared it, it will come to pass, but it will come to pass at the appointed hour. Right now, some of you stand at the threshold of that timing. You have weathered tempests. You have waged unseen campaigns. You have held fast to conviction when no one else believed in you. You have petitioned when your heart felt too leaden to pray, and heaven has witnessed every single instant. The depth of your struggle is proof of the magnitude of your approaching blessing. The Lord never permits deep anguish without a deeper purpose. The very thing that once drew tears will soon draw your hands upward in gratitude. And when it arrives, it will not merely shift your circumstance, it will reshape your spirit. It will rebuild your trust, rekindle your conviction, and remind you that the Lord has always been faithful. You will finally perceive that he was never withholding, he was aligning. He was not delaying, he was refining every detail, every delay, every detour, divinely orchestrated. And when you finally walk into what he has prepared, it will move you to tears. Not because you doubted, but because you will behold how deeply he cherished you through it all. The Lord's timing brings clarity where confusion once eked out a living, beauty where ashes once lay, strength where weakness once ruled, and peace where worry once held court. This is the celestial rhythm of life. We weep, we wait, and then we witness. The same tears that once collapsed in pain will one day collapse in praise. The same heart that once trembled in uncertainty will brim with revelation. That is the marvel of the Lord's timing. It transmutes shadows into radiance, delays into destiny, and heartbreak into testimony. So do not surrender hope. What lies ahead of you outshines what trails behind you. What is approaching is worthy of every breath of waiting. You will not be disillusioned when the Lord unveils what he has been preparing. You will not lament the time it demanded, because when it unfolds, you will realize he was never tardy. He was crafting the flawless moment for you to receive a blessing that would transform your entire existence. And when that moment descends, you will weep, not from agony, but from reverence. You will weep because you will perceive how immaculately everything aligned. You will weep because you will finally grasp that every unanswered plea was leading you to this place. You will weep because you will sense the Lord's presence so profoundly that words will collapse. And in those tears you will encounter tranquility, because they will not be tears of sorrow, but tears of celestial fulfillment. That is what happens when the Lord's timing unfolds. It moves you to tears not because of what you lost, but because of what you gained. Faith, resilience, and the irrefutable evidence that the Lord's design has always been flawless. There are moments when life pushes you to the very brink, when your strength wanes and your prayers appear unanswered. You have done everything you know, yet the silence persists. But silence never equates to abandonment. It is within the stillness that the Lord performs his deepest work. The roots of conviction grow strongest in quiet. When you cannot feel him, he is nearer than ever. When nothing appears to shift, he is rearranging everything behind the veil. The Lord's timing is never reckless. He does not delay from neglect. He delays with celestial intention, and when his design finally unfolds, it reveals not only his might but his flawless love for you. Sometimes the Lord's greatest blessings are masked as heartbreak. He permits certain endings because he is preparing something eternal. He will let you traverse the fire so you can emerge refined, stronger, and prepared for the promise he has designed. The ache you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. You cannot receive the fullness of what the Lord has for you while clinging to what he is trying to release you from. That is why his timing often feels arduous. It separates the temporary from the eternal. It strips the surface so he can construct what endures. You cannot skip the process and still expect the marvel to last. When you pray and the Lord says, "Wait," it means he is crafting something far greater than you could ever fabricate. He is shielding you from counterfeit blessings, from people who appear right but are not, from openings that glisten but conceal snares. Waiting is the Lord's celestial protection around you. It may resemble delay, but it is truly defense. His loving manner of saying, "I care too much to let you accept anything less than my finest." And when the appointed hour arrives, what he sends will not bring bewilderment or chaos. It will arrive cloaked in peace. That is how you will know it is from him. The Lord's timing does not merely alter your circumstances, it reshapes your vision. What once stirred anxiety will no longer shake you, because you have learned that the Lord governs every moment. You begin to exist with quiet confidence, not because life is simple, but because your trust is anchored in the immovable. You cease forcing doors open. You cease pleading for souls to stay. You cease dreading what follows. Instead, you begin to whisper, "Lord, whenever you move, I will be prepared." That variety of surrender unlocks heaven's floodgates. When you release control, you grant the Lord room to release wonders. Every hardship, every pause, every silent petition becomes a celestial instrument in his hands. He employs each one to mold your soul, polish your heart, and align you with your purpose. Nothing is discarded in his kingdom. The very things you believed would dismantle you are actually building the framework for your future. And when his timing arrives, you will perceive that every scar became an entrance to strength. Every disappointment a bridge to destiny. That is why the Lord instructs us not to grow weary in the waiting. The longer the pause, the louder the testimony. Some of you are inside such a season right now where everything feels still, as if life's page has not turned in years. But remember, the Lord is the author, not you. And he does not turn the page until the narrative he is inscribing on this one is complete. Trust the author. He never wastes a single line. He never wastes a single stroke of his quill. The very delay that challenges you now is part of the celestial storyline that will one day move you to tears. You will open the next page and realize that had it arrived any sooner, you would not have been prepared to receive it. Timing is not only about what the Lord is preparing for you. It is also about what he is preparing within you. Sometimes the supreme act of conviction is to remain still, to cease striving, to rest, and to whisper, "Lord, I do not need to comprehend. I simply need to trust." That is not weakness, that is strength, surrender wrapped in power, because when you release, you make room for the Lord to take the reins. And when he takes the reins, everything pivots. He begins to move people, shift seasons, and unlock doors that no mortal could open. Suddenly, what once appeared impossible becomes effortless. Not because of your doing, but because the Lord's timing has arrived. Have you ever observed how storms descend swiftly but leave behind clean skies? That is precisely how celestial timing functions. When the breakthrough arrives, it will rush into your life with power and clarity. The clouds will part, bewilderment will lift, and what once felt distant will suddenly stand in front of you. The blessings that seemed delayed will arrive in abundance, and your heart will brim with gratitude. You will weep not from exhaustion, but from awe, because you will perceive that the Lord did not merely answer your prayer, he exceeded it. He did not merely fulfill a request, he fulfilled a promise. But here is a truth few people grasp. Before the Lord's timing manifests, he often tests your patience. He grants delays that stretch your trust and silence that intensifies your endurance. Genuine conviction is not proven when everything aligns, it is proven when nothing does. And those who persist, those who refuse to raise the white flag, those who believe even when there is no proof at all, those are the ones who witness the most extraordinary displays of his power. Waiting is not passive, it is active trust. It is declaring daily, "Lord, I know you are still working even when I cannot see how." The human spirit wrestles with time because we count by minutes, but the Lord counts by purpose. What you label as late, he names as preparation. What you perceive as pause, he names as alignment. If he granted it prematurely, it might overwhelm you. If he released it too early, you might forfeit it. But when everything aligns and your spirit is prepared, he will deliver what is yours, and it will fit flawlessly, as if it had been waiting for you all along. You will not have to strain for it. You will not have to question it. You will simply know, this is what I was waiting for. When the Lord's timing arrives, it does not slip in quietly. It announces itself with peace. You will feel the shift. You will sense the long night breaking, and the tears that once collapsed in pain will begin to collapse in worship. You will behold how every unanswered petition was steering your steps, how every delay was shielding you, how every silence was shaping you. You will realize that the Lord was never slow. He was exact. Some blessings can only arrive after surrender. Some doors only swing open when you finally let go. You cannot cling to what is fading and still receive what is coming. That is why the Lord sometimes permits what you believed you needed to collapse, so your hands will be free to grasp what He is about to place in them. It hurts when things conclude, but every ending is proof that a fresh beginning is close. Each closed door carries the gentle echo of celestial timing. And when that moment descends, when the petition you have been awaiting finally unfolds before you, you will be unable to withhold the tears. You will weep because suddenly everything will cohere. The pain, the waiting, the uncertainty will all snap together into something breathtaking. You will behold how the Lord turned what appeared to be detours into the direct route toward your destiny. And you will stand there, tears flowing, whispering, "Lord, you knew precisely what you were doing. So hold on. Do not abandon conviction when the pace feels plodding. Do not permit dread to persuade you that the Lord has passed you by. The same Lord who positioned the stars in the heavens knows the precise instant to bring your promise to life. Trust His schedule, not your stopwatch. You are not lagging, you are being refined. You are not delayed, you are being developed. Every second of your waiting is consecrated. And when His timing arrives, it will be so flawless, so whole, so saturated in peace that all you will be capable of is weeping. And in those tears, you will encounter your triumph. There will be seasons when you will gaze toward the heavens and wonder if the Lord has forgotten you. You will pray, you will weep, you will wait, and still nothing will appear to shift. You will glance around and see others advancing while you feel fastened in place. You will interrogate your value, your direction, your labor, even your purpose. But what you cannot perceive in those quiet, aching moments is that the Lord's timing is weaving a masterpiece behind the veil of pause. What resembles stillness is celestial construction. What feels like rejection is truly redirection. What feels like the close is often the beginning of something your heart was not yet prepared to hold. The Lord's silence is not absence, it is strategy. He is positioning people, places, and purposes with such precision that when it finally unfolds, it will leave you undone. You will collapse in tears, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming revelation that every second of waiting was sanctified. The Lord's timing is about to make you weep, because it will bring meaning to every sleepless night and every petition that appeared unanswered. When the Lord holds back a blessing, it is not because you are unworthy. It is because He is wise. He never gives prematurely. He never releases what might crush you. Sometimes what you perceive as a pause is celestial mercy. The Lord knows that blessings arriving too early can become burdens. He knows that what is meant to elevate you could dismantle you if it arrives before its season. So He waits until your conviction matures, your heart steadies, and your character is strong enough to carry the promise. He is not merely preparing the blessing, He is preparing you for it. And when He finally opens that door, it will not creak. It will swing wide with authority and precision. You will realize that the Lord did not merely transform your circumstance. He transformed you first. The reality is that celestial timing often feels painful because it confronts our impatience. We inhabit a world that idolizes speed, but the Lord operates through seasons. The seed must be buried before it can bloom. The cocoon must seal before the butterfly can take flight. The night must descend before the dawn arrives. Within every pause there exists a celestial rhythm, an unseen hand weaving details far beyond your sight. You may feel overlooked, but in truth, you are being inscribed into the Lord's concealed calendar. His calendar does not bend to yours, and His promises never expire. When He declares, "Not yet," it is not rejection, it is celestial orchestration. And when that appointed instant finally arrives, it will not only bring a blessing, it will ignite an awakening. The Lord's timing will move so swiftly, so magnificently that it will silence every doubt you have ever carried. The tears once born of agony will return as tears of praise. The same ground that once felt barren will bloom with abundance. You will glance back and perceive that every no, every halt, every detour was actually protection. The Lord was shielding you from lesser things so He could deliver something far greater. What once appeared to be collapsing was in reality collapsing perfectly into place. So do not disdain your waiting season. Sanctify it. Employ this time to draw nearer to the Lord, to deepen your conviction, and to surrender your demand for control. Because when you learn to trust the Lord's timing, you will realize that waiting is not squandered. It is worship. It is a quiet declaration that you believe His way is supreme. Every petition whispered in trust becomes a seed placed in His hands, and when the harvest season arrives, you will reap with joy. You will weep not from sorrow, but from the weight of His mercy. Recall the moments when you believed you were forgotten, yet suddenly a door opened that you never even knocked upon. That was the Lord's timing. Remember the souls who departed only for better ones to enter your life. That was the Lord's timing. Reflect upon the times you were delayed only to later behold that what you were protected from could have demolished you. That too was the Lord's timing. His design is flawless because he perceives the end from the very beginning. He is never hurried and he is never late. He moves when everything aligns. When your heart, your calling, and your path intersect at the point of celestial readiness, but here is a truth few are willing to face. Sometimes the Lord's timing demands isolation. You will lose people, you will lose comfort, you will be misread, you will feel invisible, yet that is precisely where the sacred transformation unfolds. When distractions are stripped away, you begin to hear the Lord's voice more clearly. When you walk alone, you discover who truly walks beside you. The Lord often conceals you before he reveals you. He hides you to strengthen you. You are not being dismissed. You are being refined, and refinement always precedes revelation. When you grasp this truth, your tears become sacred. You begin to perceive that even heartbreak served a purpose. The nights you cried yourself to sleep were not squandered, they were heard. Every sigh, every whisper, every silent plea reached the throne of heaven. You were never forgotten. You were being fortified. And soon, when the Lord's timing bursts forth like radiance after a long night, you will finally understand why he made you wait. You will weep not from despair, but from awe. You will fall to your knees, overwhelmed by the sheer goodness of the Lord. You will come to understand that the waiting was the womb of the marvel. There is unmatched strength in patience. Those who wait upon the Lord do not grow weaker, they grow wiser. Waiting refines the heart's motives. It separates fleeting belief from unshakable trust. When you can sincerely declare, "Lord, I will wait for you," you are pledging loyalty to his wisdom above your own will, and that surrender becomes the soil where wonders take root. The greatest blessings are never rushed, they are revealed. The Lord does not reward impatience, he honors trust. And when you truly rest in his timing, you cease pleading for shortcuts and begin cherishing the gentle, sacred rhythm of celestial order. So hold your ground. Keep believing even when nothing appears to shift. The Lord's timing is never off schedule. It is flawlessly aligned. Every setback is secretly staging a comeback so radiant it will move you to tears. When the Lord finally intervenes, the weight of his favor will make every moment of struggle worthwhile. You will watch doors swing open that no one can barricade. You will receive calls that redirect the entire direction of your account. You will witness celestial connections that defy all logic. And when it unfolds, your heart will tremble, your eyes will brim, and your soul will whisper, "This could only be the Lord." The same Lord who flung stars into the firmament knows the precise second to release your breakthrough. He knows how to transmute waiting into winning, sorrow into dancing, and silence into a chorus of praise. Do not rush what the Lord is still inscribing. The most breathtaking masterpieces demand time. You are not lagging, you are being built. You are not forgotten, you are being focused. When the moment finally arrives, you will weep, realizing his design was never delayed. It was flawlessly timed. And the blessing that arrives through tears will be one no mortal can pilfer, because it will be grounded not in fortune or coincidence, but in the eternal, unshakable timing of the Lord. There will come a day when the waiting concludes, and you will behold what the Lord was doing all along. Every unanswered petition, every closed door, every tear shed in silence will reveal its divine purpose. You will glance back and perceive that nothing was discarded. Not a single moment, not a single heartbreak, not one solitary night. It was all shaping you into someone strong enough to carry the blessing without being crushed by it. The pain was not punishment. It was preparation. The silence was not neglect, it was strategy. The Lord was never ignoring you. He was perfecting his timing for your existence. And when that moment finally arrives, when his celestial order unfolds before your eyes, you will be overwhelmed by his wisdom and mercy. You will weep because you will finally perceive that his design was never delayed. It was fashioned from the very beginning. So now is the moment to trust him completely. Release your timetables, your expectations, and your hunger for control. The Lord does not require your schedule. He longs for your surrender. The most powerful expression of conviction you can offer today is this: "Lord, I trust you even when I cannot understand you." That variety of conviction relocates mountains. That variety of trust opens the heavens. You do not need to perceive the entire path when you know the one who fashioned it. You only need to walk with patience, petition with persistence, and hold an unshakable belief that the Lord is laboring on your behalf. Even when it appears that nothing is happening, even when you cannot yet feel it, something sanctified is forming in the unseen. You are nearer to your breakthrough than you think. The tempest surrounding you is not proof of abandonment. It is the final stretch before the promise manifests. Hold on to your conviction when it feels weakest, for that is when it is being refined the most. Do not let haste steal the marvel that is nearly within reach. The Lord's timing is never haphazard. It is precise. He knows when to reveal what He has prepared. He knows the precise moment your conviction is ready to receive it, and when that moment arrives, you will stand in awe. You will look back at your existence and realize that everything that once broke you actually built you. You will perceive that the Lord's delays were never refusals. They were celestial alignments in disguise. You will weep because His faithfulness will overwhelm you. Every dread will dissolve under the radiance of His perfection. Every doubt will vanish beneath the weight of His love. In that moment, you will know that trusting the Lord was the wisest decision you ever made. So walk boldly, petition with expectation. Wait with peace, cease doubting the process, and begin honoring it. The Lord has not overlooked you. He has reserved something greater than you imagined. The waiting itself is proof that He is crafting something extraordinary behind the curtain. Don't give up now. You are standing directly at the threshold of His flawless timing. Keep your heart humble, your conviction steady, and your gaze fixed upon Him, because when the Lord moves, He moves suddenly. When He blesses abundantly. And when His timing finally unfolds, it will not only shift your circumstance, it will transform your soul. You will weep not from pain, but from the overwhelming revelation that every second of waiting was worth it. Let this be your declaration today. I will trust the Lord even when I cannot see the way. I will remain faithful even when I do not comprehend the design. I will stand still and let the Lord be Lord, because His timing is flawless. His will is perfect and His purpose cannot fail. The same Lord who suspended the stars and commands the seasons has never lost control of your story. He is the author, and He will finish what He started. So lift your head, dry your tears, and strengthen your heart. The time you believed was squandered is about to be redeemed. The blessings you assumed were forfeited are about to return multiplied. The petitions you thought were forgotten are about to be answered in ways that will leave you speechless. Stand firm in conviction. Remain anchored in trust. Keep walking closely with the Lord, because when His timing arrives, and it will make you weep, not from pain, but from the breathtaking splendor of His perfection. And in that moment your soul will whisper the truth it always knew: the Lord was right all along. When the nights stretch long and the silence feels weighty. When your pillow is soaked with tears unseen by anyone and your soul whispers words you cannot bring yourself to utter, hold on to this truth: the Lord perceives your anguish. And He is preparing to intervene. You may feel passed over. You may believe the burden you carry is too immense to bear. Yet the very sorrow that draws tears from your eyes is a sign that heaven is stirring. When the shadow feels endless, that is often the moment the Lord begins His concealed work, turning your mourning into power and your trial into testimony. The Lord has not abandoned you. He has been near through it all, tallying every tear, catching every sigh, and hearing every syllable you could not speak. He perceives what shattered your heart, and He knows precisely how to mend it. There are seasons when ache runs so deep that language forfeits its strength. Those around you may not perceive it. They see endurance, not realizing you are waging unseen battles, but the Lord notices. He perceives the tears behind your laughter, the fatigue behind your persistence, and the doubts behind your petitions. You may have whispered, "Why me? Why now?" But the Lord's timing is never uncertain. Each pang, each pause, each disappointment has been shaping and refining you for something your spirit cannot yet envision. Pain may feel like punishment, but it is not. It is preparation. The Lord does not wield pain to dismantle you, but to develop you. Sometimes He permits you to walk through seasons of testing, so your conviction can become immovable. You learn in the tempest what serenity alone could never teach. When the Lord moves, He does not simply lift your pain, He transmutes it into purpose. That is the splendor of His compassion. He turns what was designed to crush you into the very foundation that fortifies you. So if you are hurting now, remember this: your pain is not meaningless. It is sacred ground, the soil where wonders take root. Many assume the Lord is silent when they cannot sense Him, but silence does not mean absence. Silence often carries the resonance of celestial design. The Lord is orchestrating things beyond your sight even when you cannot trace his hand. At times he conceals himself not to forsake you but to fortify your conviction. If you perceived everything, there would be no necessity to trust. So he instructs you to walk by conviction, not by sight, to believe that even when you do not feel him, he is nearer than your heartbeat. The Lord's silence is not rejection, it is alignment. He is preparing you for something greater than you imagined. When the Lord is about to act, the pressure often intensifies. You may discover yourself standing at the edge of breaking. Everything collapses at once. Relationships strain, chances vanish, doors once open suddenly clamp shut. That is not coincidence, that is contraction. Just as a mother endures the sharpest ache before delivery, your deepest struggle often signals your greatest breakthrough. You are not being crushed, you are being delivered. The weight of your pain is evidence that something celestial is about to be born. The Lord intervenes precisely at the moment when it appears nothing else can be done, because he desires that all the glory belongs to him alone. Some of you have been petitioning for years, yet nothing appears to shift. You have cried out to the Lord with trembling hands and weary hearts, and still the heavens have seemed silent. But listen closely, pause is not refusal. The Lord has not forgotten you. He is aligning circumstances on your behalf. There are unseen battles being waged for your good. Hearts are being softened. Doors are being forged and pathways are being prepared. The Lord's timing is never slow, it is strategic. When he moves, everything that once appeared scattered will suddenly make sense. You will glance back and understand that the waiting was never squandered. It was the groundwork for your marvel. You see, pain often speaks the dialect of transformation. It teaches you to lean on the Lord rather than your own might. When life strips away what you believed you needed, it is not cruelty, it is clarity. The Lord removes distractions to make room for celestial direction. At times, he must dismantle your plans to reveal his purpose. The pain you feel right now may be the very instrument the Lord is wielding to guide you toward what genuinely belongs to you, so do not disdain the struggle. Embrace it as the birthplace of your resilience. The same fire that scorches also refines. The same tempest that terrifies you also clears your way. Reflect upon every moment you believed you would not survive, and yet you did. That was not fortune, that was not coincidence. That was the Lord quietly intervening, holding you when no one else could, carrying you when you had no vigor left. Every time your heart shattered, but you kept breathing. Every time you felt drained but still pressed forward, that was the Lord's power sustaining you. You may not have recognized his hand, but his presence never departed your side. He has been in every season, weaving purpose into your pain and turning your tears into tomorrow's triumph. When the Lord steps in, he does not